Welcome to the 1-0 Seattle podcast. I'm Dom Skeen. If you follow my channel, you probably know Mariner Mojo, who make up the bedrock of Mariners YouTube and are some of my favorite voices on the platform as a whole. If you at home will help me do the honors of welcoming to the show today both halves of the team, Colton Swanson and Joe Lacy.
Thank you for having us, Dom. Thank you.
Yeah, man, happy to be here. Happy to talk some Mariners baseball. We got spring training going down in Peoria, and we're getting close, man. We're getting real close.
Absolutely. First question is, I always like in the back of my head think of you guys as like the Mojo boys. Does anybody ever call you guys just Mojo for short?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, that's usually actually how we're referred to.
Yeah,
although sometimes when I'm like at games, or whatever, people will be like, "Yo, Locked On Mariners," and I'm like, "Close."
No, they call you Colby. They don't say Locked On. But yeah, if it's like a passing kind of thing, like we're like walking in the concourse, you'll just sometimes someone will just shout a Mojo, and we're like, "Hey!" and then we're still walking. And
we have no idea who said it.
Yeah, it's just like there's just a crowd of people. But yeah, the Mojo boys. I mean, I'm not mad at that as a second alias. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it just rolls off the tongue and stuff. And then obviously just 2 days until the first innings of spring training. A little under 48 hours, a little over 48 hours right now. Obviously, plenty of ball to talk today. First off, we got the Padres on Friday, annual spring opener, Peoria Sports Complex Cup. Vetter Cup, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
My first question for you guys, let's say the Mariners come to you and ask you guys to pick the starting lineup based on who you can't wait to see step on the diamond in spring training in 2026. Who are your first names on that lineup card?
Ooh.
Do you want to alternate spots here, Colton?
Yeah, you lead it off.
So you want me to start with the bump?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead with who's on the mound.
Give me Cade Anderson first pitch. Give me Cade on the bump first.
All right, so we'll go catcher. We'll just go in positional order here. Catcher, we're going to go with Luke Stevenson. I mean, obviously Cal, right? But Cal's going to be playing in the WBC. I really want to know more about Luke Stevenson because he's the heir apparent right now at catcher whenever Cal has to, his legs start to go.
I see where you're going, but there's going to be starters in this group. You know what I mean? Like, it's not all going to be prospects. So Josh Naylor's getting the digs at first base for sure. I mean, I don't know who else is really behind him in the depth chart.
Really?
I mean, it's a little thin there, but yeah, Josh Naylor would be starting first for me.
Yeah, second base. I mean, got to put Cole Young. I think he's going to have a really good year, so I'm putting him at second. I think that it's really kind of his position to lose right now. Leo Rivas. I don't like that face, Joe. Leo Rivas. I'm thinking that it's someone that can be in there, but I think Cole's got it right now.
So the way that positions work, I have to go to third base right now, and I am tasked with the impossible decision of Brendan Donovan or Colt Emerson, I think. And I might go an unpopular route. I'm going to give Donovan the start as the first spring training game. I get that Colt's going to see many innings there, but it's not just third. He'll see innings at short. He'll see innings at second as well. So I'm going to give Donovan the start there, but Colt's going to play in this game. Absolutely. Hate on me for not picking Colt. I couldn't not let a new guy, someone that we've been pining over for what feels like years to be in a Mariners uniform, Brendan Donovan starting at third base.
Yeah, I'll do what you wouldn't. I'm putting Colt at shortstop.
Oh my God.
I love JP, but I want to see Colt. We know what we got with JP. We know.
Sure.
We know, he's gonna put up a 110-ish WRC plus. He's gonna play fine defense, but Colt's kind of like the wild card. He can be like the electric part of this lineup. So Colt Emerson, I think more than anybody else, Colt and Cade Anderson and Ryan Sloan, those are the three guys I want to see more than anyone.
Are we about to put in our first right-handed batter? Everyone's been left-handed so far.
You're right.
And so we're going out to left field, and we're going to throw Randy out there. He's going to start out in left, his normal starting spot for the Mariners in 2026. Absolutely. So Randy's going to be there smack dab in the middle of the lineup to break up all the lefties.
Yeah, the Mariners don't really have a whole lot of depth in the outfield. So center field, I'm going to put Julio there just because I think that he's going to have a good year, like from beginning to end instead of just like a second half surge. So I'll go with Julio in center.
Gosh,
you got some tough spots.
I know. I mean, right field, I think there's three names, and it's just depending on, who, if there's another prospect in here. And I think there's a good chance it could be a prospect, whether or not he's in right field or DH. But I'll let you say his name because I know you're more excited about it than I am, because you like this prospect more than I do. I will put Victor Robles out in right field. Just get
Okay.
all three right-handed
Yeah.
batters out in right field, and then you can decide your fate with the DH.
Are you saying Brendan Davis? Is that who we're talking about?
No.
What? Oh,
That's-
Laz.
yeah,
Oh, we're
Laz.
talking about Laz, of course. Yeah. Laz DHing. I mean, I'm so glad the Mariners kept him this offseason. I know his name was floated out there in a Donovan trade. So, like, Laz, middle of the lineup. I mean, we saw him hit some tanks in spring training, and he's just like the most fun guy to be around at spring training. And yeah, so Laz, that's right. That's another guy that I would put at the very top of my list.
I think
That's awesome. So yeah,
I think we cooked.
Oh, you guys cooked for sure. I mean, Colton picking Colt, right? Joe gets all the tough spots.
I mean, I threw the lob. Okay, I threw the lob to allow him to put Colt at short. Let's be honest.
And he caught it. It's the D Wade and LeBron picture.
Exactly. I'm like floating down the sideline or down the baseline, and Colton's just ready to hammer it down.
Oh yeah. Anyway, another thing I wanted to say with that first game, right? We go to the other side of Peoria Sports Complex. We got the Padres, who's GM AJ Preller, the only in baseball known for making as many moves as Jerry DiPoto himself. You know, he made 3 moves on Saturday. You know, signing Griffin Canning, Herman Marquez, Nick Castellanos. And honestly, the Padres kind of scare me when it comes to going all in on certain years in hindsight. You know, if they didn't trade for 2 months of Juan Soto, they'd have CJ Abrams, James Wood, Mackenzie Gore still, which very easily could have been the difference versus the Dodgers in one of those last few postseasons. What do you guys make of the other team at Peoria Sports Complex in terms of team building lessons for the Mariners?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I think for our perspective, especially so we do a trade deadline stream every year. Like, we are live the morning of the deadline, and we go until the deadline is done. And when the Mason Miller trade happened last year, everyone and their mother was kind of calling for AJ Preller to be like, that's a terrible move. And in hindsight, you know, trading Mason Miller's a great reliever, but like, you traded a top 10-ish prospect in Leo DeVries to the Athletics for Mason Miller. And I think it kind of shows that, like, when thinking about team building from the Padres perspective, the level of, I think, extreme that certain franchises and organizations could be willing to go to try and get over that hump into the next step, where the Mariners seemed to be a little bit more, not that they're passive, because like you said, it's Trader Jerry. It's been known for a long time that he likes to make moves, but they feel a lot more risk averse. Whereas AJ Preller and the Padres, they will throw anything at the wall to try and get stuff to stick. I mean, there was a point in time in the last, say like 2 seasons where they had 6 different infielders, maybe even 7 for 4 positions that you couldn't really play. I mean, they had to move Tatis. Sure. Was he ever going to stick defensively in the infield? No, but he's been a Gold Glover and Platinum Glove winner in the outfield as well. So it's like, looking at the way that their roster has been constructed, there have been many questions about how it's all going to fit together. But I think Preller, year in and year out, does find a way to put all the pieces together by what kind of any means necessary, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Padres are a really good team. They have trouble every year putting it onto the field. And there were teams in years past, the Marlins of 2012 really stick out to me, where they went all in. They made a bunch of moves. They went and got like Josh Johnson, and I'm trying to remember who else was on that.
It was
team.
Carl Crawford. Or no,
yeah.
Was it
something like that?
Reyes? I don't remember. There was like a Red Sox trade that was crazy back then, and like I think Josh Johnson was a part of it going to Boston. Maybe I know what you're saying. Mark Burley was part of that team. Right. Yeah,
yeah. Reyes. It's like you get like all those guys in one place that you're just like, hey, people know this name, right? And we're gonna put them on the field. Sometimes they don't always mesh together. With the Padres, I think the biggest difference between them and the Mariners is the Mariners are really about draft, develop, trade, which is what they do best. And a lot of the guys that are coming, I mean, the whole rotation was built through draft, other than obviously Luis Castillo. You look at the Padres, and there are a lot of guys that they go out there and they trade guys like Leodalis DeVries and whatnot to go get. And I think that's the biggest difference between them. As for if I think they can make some noise, yeah, I think they'll be probably a wild card team this year, because they play in the same division as the Dodgers. Yeah. But that National League West is probably the best or one of the best divisions in all of baseball. Even though they have the Rockies in that division, they're still one of the best in baseball. And I think that with the way that Preller goes about things, you can never count them out at the trade deadline. I think AJ Preller's kept us employed during the trade deadline over the past couple of years because he makes some crazy moves.
Absolutely. It's fun to play against them the first game of the year. You got two polar opposite team building perspectives where Mariners, we're going to stick to the foundation, keep committing to the young guys, keep committing to the, next 3, 4, 5 years down the line. And then the Padres doing the opposite and signing 3, former, Nick Castellanos been an all-star.
Yeah.
German Marquez been an all-star. Canning had some decent years with the Angels, but then all, free agents in mid-February for a reason. So that'll be fun on Friday. They're in a strange state of affairs. It'll be fun to see how that kind of goes. I want to also talk a little bit about both of your evaluation processes on players. Beginning with our newest big-time Mariner, obviously. You guys have loved Brendan Donovan for years. I've especially heard Colton, you talk about, your love for him. And do you remember the first time that you saw him play or heard about him and your first eye test reaction? And how did your evaluation of him as a player begin?
Yeah, I mean, you really, especially doing the channel and whatnot, you look around the league and say, okay, what guys play positions of need and what guys are, good. And I think that I started really looking into Brendan Donovan in the year after his rookie year, because the rookie year he had won the Gold Glove, obviously is kind of like a super utility guy. A lot of times you don't really hear about like utility guys that often, but Donovan being that utility guy, winning the Gold Glove, putting up basically a 360 OBP every single year, he just kind of fit the bill. And I was like, okay, well, that was, 1 year. What's he going to do? And he just happened to do that for the next 3 years. And I think that one of the things that stands out to me the most about Brendan Donovan, and honestly, something I didn't even know until the Mariners went out and got him, is just how big of a clubhouse presence he is and how big of a leader that he was for that Cardinals team. And, a lot of Cardinals fans have come into our comment section and been like, hey, like, you guys got a real winner with Brendan Donovan. Like, you guys are going to love him. And obviously watching from afar when he was in St. Louis, it was, okay, this guy's putting the ball in play everywhere. He's playing decent defense and he can play literally wherever you're going to put it. That's the way I saw him. But to now know that he has those off the field, like qualifications, I think just makes him an even better fit for the Mariners, especially because they're going to have him for 2 years. And he fills a role, obviously, at third base in that infield that I think over the past few years we've really been looking for, right? Like when we went into the season with Josh Rojas and Luis Urias as your third baseman, it's like, okay, like
in the aggregate, they got better, Colton.
Yeah, right. They got better. I was like, what are we doing here? Obviously, they traded Gino, and then second base has been a problem for the Mariners for years until Polo really came through last year. The Adam Frazier's, the Colton Longs, and the first year of Jorge Polanco. So the role that Brendan Donovan fills really felt like he would play perfectly in one of those two spots, and finally the Mariners got it done.
I think Colton's, I think, a better evaluator than I am, because to be quite frank, I have planted my flag in some really dud picks. Like, I was a big Donovan Salon. Like, I was like, yeah, Donovan Salon's going to come over and he's going to hit to like 270 and he's going to like fill that spot of, he's going to hit lefties really well. And of course, that's the idea with Rob Refsnyder coming into this season. And will he be able to break the curse? Because there hasn't been one right-handed slugger really that has mashed lefties super well on any of the past 5 seasons of the Seattle Mariners that are like specific to that role. Like, they first tried it in 2023, I think, with AJ Pollock. I mean, Justin Upton saw innings in 22. Steven Souza Jr. saw innings in 2022. Like, of course, out of necessity to injury and, certain guys just not filling in their spots. But when you bring in a guy like AJ Pollock, who for his career had previously done what they brought him in to do, and he just doesn't do it, doesn't work out and doesn't look super great. They do that again, later on, Donovan Solano. Like, it's hard for me to, I think, sit here and not kind of like admit, like, hands up, like, hey, maybe I'm not that guy. And that's okay. I'm okay with not being that guy, because I handed in my Donnie Barrels defense card probably 3 weeks into the season last year, or maybe it was later than that. Doesn't matter, because he probably didn't see enough playing time. But regardless, when I'm looking at a player, like specifically Brendan Donovan, and you kind of try and navigate what spots he's supposed to fill. The thing that stood out to me the most, at least in the last probably like 2 or 3 seasons, my biggest desire for the Mariners in any offseason, whatever, is to identify someone that can be your leadoff hitter. And Donovan, I think, fills those shoes very well. It's a high OBP. He doesn't strike out a lot. He makes good contact. He hits for a decent average. It feels like for the first time in this, I think, window of contention, they truly do have a stereotypical leadoff hitter that isn't someone that is like peaking in that specific season. JP Crawford in 2023 was at the bottom of the lineup and then got thrust into leadoff spot because he was walking at an insane rate and he was having his best offensive year of his career. Victor Robles burst onto the scene in 24 after being, you know, a change of scenery type guy. Last year,
Absolutely.
like you had to throw Randy Arozarena into that mix because Victor got hurt early on and like it just stuff at the top of the lineup wasn't really working. So like getting Donovan now, I think provides a lot of stability to that spot. And for the last, you know, handful of off seasons, that's been something that I've wanted the Mariners to go out there and really shore up, was someone that is your traditional leadoff hitter.
Absolutely. And I'll say this about you, Joe, and your prospect evaluations. I actually appreciate the fact that you've been willing to plant your flag on the Donovan Solanos. You know, I mean, before he got traded, you know, 2 weeks ago, I was the biggest Ben Williamson fan on the planet. And
someone's got to do it.
I mean, it's exactly like the thing is, it's easy, you know, for people to plant their flag on the, you know, oh, you know, I think this ex-Mariners pitcher is going to win the Cy Young this year. You know, I think that Andres Munoz is the best closer in baseball. When, you know, he's obviously top 5. We can debate however we want, you know, the most volatile position in all of sports. If he's top 1, 3, whatever. But I've appreciated that you have planted your flags in honest evaluations of players. And that gives, you know, the fans a better idea of, oh, why would somebody like this profile? Why would the Mariners go out and get a Donovan Solano or an AJ Pollock? And that's what I've appreciated about your analysis and your evaluations. And the question that I kind of had next is specifically for you, which you have a particular style, you know, where I can tell that there's a lot of eye test in it. I can tell that there's a lot of StatCast in it. You know, you're definitely doing your research, doing your homework, but also letting your eyes see what they see. You know, and I mean, ball doesn't lie, you know, the numbers don't lie. The eye test doesn't, you know, you see what you see and it's not lying to you. And so, you know, I mean, pitchers too, you know, you're scouting their pitch mix. It's almost like you're writing them up like a scout in time, you know, like this is what he does. Maybe not, you know, does he do it well? How well does he do it? You know, you talk about that too, but what actual skills does he have that you can see, not just how good has he been? And, you know, yeah, I really appreciated that. So what were some of your most interesting like pitcher evals, you know, that helped you develop your style for doing so?
I mean, this is going to sound kind of weird, but when I was younger, I would always just kind of mix in different pitching mechanics. Like I used to throw like I was Warren Spahn, like, or Bob Gibson, like really big, like behind the back, over the top, like whatever. And that was all the way through probably. That was like ages like 9 through 12 probably. And so thinking about that and like where that took me as far as like looking at pitchers and looking at mechanics, one thing that really I caught on to, I never made a video about it, and Colton's probably mad that I never made a video about it, was back when it was, so I was gathering videos on Logan Gilbert, on looking on his Savant pages, clicking like random video, and I noticed in between 22 and 23 is when he started like hiking up the ball up here. So like he's like back forth and then he like chucks it up behind his ear. He didn't start doing that until the middle of 2023, I think. And I don't, and that the hard part is for me is I don't know what that does for him as a pitcher, if it helps hide the ball, if it just generates more momentum, like going back up there as aggressive as he does. But if you watch him now, he does it every single time, where rock step into it and then he throws his hands back up here. And I pointed out to Colton, he goes, "Oh dude, you have to make that a video." And I never got around to it, which is probably a big mistake on my end. Whether or not it would have done like what information I could have derived from that, but it's kind of just like trying to pick up on those small things in between, like in the little like nuanced things that each player does, like in the batter's box, on the mound, like even in the field. Like I mean, there's videos people post on social media of like all the fielders when the ball is thrown, they like jump step and they drop, and like they're just like ready position kind of a thing. Like it's trying to pick up on those small little details to see if there's anything that you can derive from it. And I do think that that mechanic change for Logan is part of what makes him great with his extension, with his ability to hide the ball, and his pitch mix specifically with adding in the splitter. Like it's up here and then he throws it and then it's at the dirt. Like it's 6'8" in the air by his ear. And then it's a ball in the dirt that's coming, you know, at you from 52 feet instead of 60 feet. Like there's so much that goes into those little like microcosms of the game where baseball being a game of inches when, you know, the field is, as you know, the dimensions are so different as they are, but each game can be like won between the margins and through the game of inches. And like the one that sticks out to me is just that Logan Gilbert situation where it's something that I noticed, and I have regrets about it, if that makes sense.
That is exactly what I was kind of wondering about, because like, I assumed like, okay, this guy's probably pitched before. You know, most people don't look at it like that, you know, if they haven't. And you say like, you know, game of inches, kind of a popular football term, but also, I mean, a baseball term, you know, I mean, home runs, you know, versus fly ball outs at the wall, right? Inches, feet. You know, look, I mean, I remember that game 5, game 6, was it game 4 of the ALCS? Jimenez and Vladdy, I think, both hit homers that are like scraping inches over the right field wall, you know, and it's just like, you know, the whole game could have gone a different way if that wasn't, you know, the case. Yeah, but that's, I mean, and there's sometimes those best ideas, like I notice them, and it's getting to trust your eye. Like that's what makes these scouts so good too in the Mariners organization, is like because people will see stuff when they watch, right? And they'll think, man, I can't believe my lion eyes. Like, there's no way that I'm seeing that this pitcher with an 8 ERA, you know, is, you know, doing what my eyes are telling me that he's doing is deceptive. But that is the way that scouts look at it. And I mean, obviously the Logan thing, super, like it's super granular, but that is what you look for in terms of the changes. I mean, day to day, week to week, night to night. And that's also this podcast, the 1-0 podcast, because 1-0 every pitch is the way that the game is the most interesting, and the way that you can find the most. You know, so I really appreciate the way that you look at that stuff. And I'd rather listen to somebody who's willing to plant their flag in, you know, in one of the more interesting players on the Mariners roster, because we know why Julio's there. You know, he's 6'4" and one of the best athletes on the planet. We know, you know, why Cal's there. He's really, really good at everything he does. And then also, you know, I mean, height, weight, speed. I was kind of a football scout before I got into writing about football and then doing baseball stuff. And height, weight, speed is everything there. You know, so, you know, I mean, it's no coincidence that the Mariners pitchers all have, you know, pretty insane frames. I mean, you look at, you know, Logan's obviously 6'7", 6'8". Oh, I didn't even mean to frog there.
Whoa! No one said anything.
Yeah, he said the thing.
Just rush past it.
Exactly. And then Kirby, you know, 6'4", 6'5" ish. You got Ryan Sloan coming up. Kate Anderson is, you know, he's a slender man himself. I asked him about spring training, about putting on weight and stuff. You know, that's all kind of interesting. And you know, just how is that going to work? You know, because some pitchers are slender men, some end up being, you know, like Felix Hernandez, Andres Munoz. Anyway, yeah, I'm also curious, you know, to glimpse into the origins of your guys' channel, you know, beginning all the way back with, you know, how did you guys meet? And do you remember the first time you talked Mariners or, you know, with each other?
You want me to take that one? Yeah.
So you've probably got better recall on that specific.
So Joe and I met actually in middle school. We met before that, but we really became friends in middle school. We had played baseball for a local little league, like against each other before. Joe, when he was a kid, ran up and hugged my dad thinking it was his dad. And yeah, it was this whole thing. But yeah, we really became friends in 6th grade. We had an English class together. And that's, you know, kind of where we both like baseball. We both had, you know, similar personalities and whatnot. And we just became friends through that. And I can't say that I remember the first time that we ever talked about like the Mariners or about baseball, but some of my favorite times like of us just talking baseball is Joe used to drive a Tahoe, and it would just be parked out, you know, in my driveway or something like that. And we would just like sit in the like bed, I guess you would call it, of the Tahoe, and we'd look at baseball reference pages, and then we'd quiz each other to see if you could guess what player this was. And it doesn't have to be a current player, it could be literally anybody. And you know, all of a sudden I'd pull up random like Carl Everett stats, and we'll see, and we'll give each other hints on who it is and see if we could, you know, guess. I think that's some of my favorite things that we did. And this was before the channel and whatnot. And I think that it was pretty clear. It was always clear with us that we were going to try to do something in video. That's been clear for a long time. We used to make like fake lip syncing videos to skits and whatnot when we were in like middle school and early high school on like the iPod Nano that had like a little tiny camera that was awful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So it was pretty clear that video was going to be our thing at some point. We never knew, obviously, it was going to grow into what it is today, but we knew that it was coming down the pipeline at some point.
Awesome.
My first thought about like specifically baseball, maybe not Mariners, was like showing you like fantasy baseball drafts.
Yep.
Like at your house, because I didn't have a computer in my house until I was probably like a sophomore in high school. I live kind of like out in the middle of nowhere, so internet is not something that was common before technology advanced more. But like ESPN fantasy baseball drafts, I was like just like obsessed with doing them, and I would just be like, Colton, we need to do a draft right now. Like we need to do a roto draft immediately. And just I don't remember do you remember who your first overall pick was? I feel like you know that. I don't remember mine.
It was 2010, and my first overall pick, because I believe I had the first pick in the draft, was Evan Longoria.
Right.
Yeah. I think he was coming off of a really good. I don't remember if he was like MVP
that was like
caliber that year, but
that was the
really
beginning of his career. So like, you know, it's like prime, like he's at a what used to be more premium offensive position of third base, where like there's still like the corner infield presence of like these guys are like your big offensive profiles, and especially a guy who's going to see, you know, 600 at bats with run scoring opportunities. If that at that point Carl Crawford's still on the team, there's a lot of people on base. Yeah, Carlos Pena behind him with protection. You had maybe like BJ Upton in front of him. Again, the timelines are a little tricky for me with that Rays team, but that was the first thing I thought of when Dom brought up like baseball origins for us, because yeah, we'd gone to Mariners games like shortly thereafter becoming friends for like birthday party related stuff. But the main thing to me was actually another one, the bigs on the Wii.
Oh yeah.
The bigs on the Wii, I think was the another like pillar of our baseball friendship was playing the bigs. So
fantasy baseball that's kind of what got me into looking at stuff so nerdy. Like a lot of my favorite stuff, like analysis of baseball, is fantasy baseball related, because it's so so nerdy, and it's good. You listen to all the Mariners stuff, you get the storylines and stuff, but then to learn about the rest of the game, there's a whole lot of like fantasy baseball stuff out there. I would always wanted to do like a Mariners centric community like fantasy baseball competition or league or something. So someday we'll have to put that together.
We do a bunch of them every year. So, if you want to join in, it's just a bunch of the people that watch the channel all play like ESPN fantasy baseball. It's a lot of fun. I mean, Joe and I always win because we're clearly the best ever, but
I didn't win a league last year. I didn't win a Mojo league last year, but Jake Raise the Trident organized two different like creator leagues. And I won the Kingdom League. I'll just throw that out there. I was the Kingdom of the Kingdom League. Okay. I took home the crown. I think you finished third, right?
Second or third. Yeah. Behind Connor.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Connor.
What a guy.
He's always at the top too.
What players do you guys remember like investing in that, building the teams around? Do you remember any?
Last year?
Yeah.
So the rule of that league, specifically the Creator League, was you had to draft a Mariner in the first round. Okay. So I think like first overall, like someone took like Logan, and then like someone else took like George or Luis or something. They went pitcher first. And Julio would have been the layup. but I'm like, I want a good catcher. So I took Cal Raleigh. And then he had the season that he had. And I just was in because everyone was giving me crap for taking Cal over Julio. So I made sure I let them know every single time that Cal was doing well. I'm like, yeah, that's right. I knew what I was doing. This was all part of my plan. So Cal was the cornerstone of that team. And as he was, I'm sure, for a lot of fantasy teams, but having a good catcher was huge.
Our first 2 rounds of those teams were the exact same. I picked, so I was 1 pick after you because you were pick 3. I was pick 4 in mine. I picked Cal, and then on the wraparound, I grabbed Zach Wheeler. You did the same exact thing.
Yep.
Like the same brain cells we share.
That's funny. I've always I heard this from Nick Pollock, Pitcher List, fantasy baseball guy. Not sure if you guys heard of him and his stuff.
Pitchers List, I know of that entity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he does a great top 100 power rankings every week of pitchers, and it's really nerdy about who has weapons to both sides of the plate and who do I not just past results, but one of my favorite things is past results don't predict future performance. And he says now he's been saying Brian Wu is the new Zach Wheeler, super dependable bet for innings, kind of a wide arsenal, very easy, effortless pitching that can go way up in innings, lead the majors, Cy Young contention. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I like Brian Wu quite a bit, and the screen, the picture from one of his bullpens the other day showing off his bicep has, I think, a lot of people excited for what's to come in 2026, because dude is absolutely yoked out of his mind, and he's got to be hungry coming off the year that he did. Mr. 6 innings himself had a phenomenal year in 20. The nickname's going to stick. Okay. It's going to stick. I'm going to make it happen. He's Mr. 6 innings. We have the tall man and we have Mr. 6 innings. We're workshopping the rest. But yeah, I mean, a phenomenal year for Brian Wu in 2025. And I think the writing's been on the wall for him to kind of take that ascendancy in rankings as far as where people evaluate him on a yearly basis, because when he came up in his rookie year and the strides he took in the second year with all those questions about his injury history and his durability, he has proved all of them wrong, essentially, as far as, or he's basically shown them yes, I will be healthy. Of course, down the stretch at the end of the year is where he really does leave kind of probably a sour taste in his mouth that he couldn't finish the year as strong as he wanted to with the slight pectoral issue. But being able to come back in the championship series and pitch the way he did, of course, his ledger looks a little blemished because of not necessarily entirely his fault, but it's going to be a big year for Brian Wu in 26. And the comparison to Zach Wheeler, I think someone that for a while kind of flew under the radar before he got to Philly. People knew he was good in New York, but it wasn't, I don't think people envisioned Cy Young, top 3 Cy Young pretty much every year that he is fully healthy. He probably should have a Cy Young award himself anyways. I don't know if you guys agree that Burns took it from him, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, Brian Wu, that comp is, I mean, I think everything that the Mariners could want from Brian Wu is if you get a Zach Wheeler type season pretty much year in and year out, you're going to be happy.
Yeah, I mean, Zach Wheeler was behind, Matt Harvey and Jacob deGrom. So it's at the time, obviously Harvey was really good. It's hard. And even I think Rafael Montero was a part of that rotation and was ahead of him for a little while. And so don't be giving me that.
I'm not. I'm that face is, I think, the visualization of Dom saying good pull, because my brain has no knowledge of that.
You don't remember that? He was a top prospect for the Mets. Anyway, doesn't matter. But yeah, I think that with Brian Wu in 2024, we were talking with the Marine Layer guys about potential playoff starters and whatnot. If you got into a wild card, who's starting game 1 for you? And I don't remember if it was Lyle or TJ, but they said Brian Wu would start game 1 for them over Logan or George or Luis or whatever. And they caught a lot of flack for that over on Instagram or TikTok or wherever they put it. But I completely agreed with them, because while Brian Wu in 2024 hadn't necessarily been all that healthy, when he did pitch, he was really, really good. And now when seeing that carry over into nearly a full season in 2025, kind of seeing him come into his own, and something that you mentioned earlier, Dom, was you see a guy who has like an 8 ERA in college or whatever. That was Brian Wu basically, right? And then the scouts saw something with him, whether it's that easy, repeatable delivery that he has, like Matt Moore, for example, easy, repeatable delivery. Like
Another
you
good
look,
pull.
another good pull. Thank you. Yeah, but like Brian Wu, it's a similar profile on the fact that if he can just stay healthy, I think that he could be one of the top pitchers in the American League year in and year out, simply because his stuff is that good. And if as he starts to grow into his own a little bit more, I think that that's going to be really big for the Mariners moving forward.
Absolutely. I was going to say the same thing. That's trust your eyes, trust what you see. And I know Trent Blank said that, even though Brian Wu is projected as whatever pick he was, I forget, I think he was like 6th round, 3rd or 6th round. But Trent Blank's like, just based on, where he was, I would have taken him 1st overall if it were up to me.
Really? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's why they don't let the position coaches take do the draft picks completely. You got GMs and scouts and stuff, but sometimes it works out. Anyway, I also had a little bit of a game. It's funny you guys mentioned the Baseball Reference stuff, because I had a little bit of a game with Baseball Reference I want to play with you guys.
Oh boy.
A star on this team who isn't even a top 10 discussion point, because sometimes he's a little hard to discuss, and that's Randy Arozarena. Randy's bWAR was 4.0 flat last year, 44th in all of baseball for position players. And I want to play a game with you guys called Randy Or, with the 10 players closest to Randy's bWAR last season, the 5 ahead and the 5 behind.
Okay.
And you tell me whether you think Randy or this player will put up the higher bWAR in 2026.
Okay.
And just for reference, all these guys were within, plus or minus 0.3 of Randy's bWAR last season. And for the audience, bWAR is the more outcome-based evaluation of WAR, where, fWAR, Fangraphs WAR, favors StatCast more. So we're talking more about results than underlying stuff.
Okay.
So Randy or Tyler Soderstrom.
Big team-friendly contract for the A's. I know, darling data, I think Tyler Soderstrom is. I will take Randy in 2026.
I think because of the ballpark the Athletics are playing in, I'm going to take Tyler Soderstrom, simply because, defensively, Randy is hindered a little bit in that regard. But yeah, I think I'll take Soderstrom there.
It's close.
Absolutely. Randy or Jazz Chisholm Jr.
Randy. The thing with Jazz is he feels so volatile in that way, where like you've seen him have great years, and I think he's blossomed into that player that people envisioned him as when he got on the cover of MLB The Show. But whether or not that's something that will remain consistent it's still a question mark, I think. Whereas, and that's crazy for me to say that after Soderstrom had one good season, but we're flip-flopping.
Soderstrom, the profile is there to improve a little bit. Chisholm, has a very risky profile where the bottom could fall out one year,
Sure.
So to see that, it's like, and for fantasy baseball drafters out there, you'll hear all sorts of stuff about Jazz because he has the 2nd and 3rd base eligibility on most sites. The roto drafts are going to have him going in the top 3 rounds. If you're in a points league, just stay away, right? Yeah. But anyway, moving on, Randy or Matt Chapman.
I'll go with Randy. I think Matt Chapman defensively, like he's going to get there defensively. I don't know if he's going to have, because he was hurt a lot of last year, wasn't he? So it's like,
if you match Randy and bWAR, or if you match Randy and bWAR, and he was still a little hurt.
That's true. It's a good point.
That's hard.
4.1.
Okay.
And then Randy was 4.0.
Yeah. I don't know Chapman's playing time last year. I don't know how many games he got in, but when he's at his best, and that's not necessarily something that maybe is guaranteed right now, he can be like a 6-win player, similar to like a Nico Horner, where like that dude can be a 6-win player because of his defense alone. And the offense, if there's good enough upside, which Chapman has shown in the past, he will be good to great. And I will go with Matt Chapman.
All right. We got a couple third basemen, a run of third baseman here. We got Manny Machado next.
Ooh.
I gotta go with Manny again. I mean, really good defense, and Machado, like, he's a future Hall of Famer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that as like Manny as a player was, especially coming up, was, Brooks Robinson vibes over there at third base and whatnot. I think that Manny as a player is probably a 4.5, 5 win player on that really good Padres team. Is this the last year of his contract as well? I think it might be, or maybe it's next year, but he might be in a contract year. So
I will go Manny as
Absolutely.
well. I think the offense wasn't as big for him last year. And like when he's playing at his best, I think, like Colton said, 5 win player because the offense alone can really carry him. Like no player on the Padres last year had over 30 home runs. Manny, that's something that seems like could be penciled in every single season for him. And like Colton said, future Hall of Famer. Not to say that Randy can't match Manny. Don't want to dig on my boy too much, but
He's an interesting one because I mean Randy is, I'd say, the streakiest player in all of baseball. He definitely has an argument. Machado similar in that he plays a ton of games and is super streaky. So I mean the totals always end up around there: 25, 30 homers, pretty good batting average. The defense probably sets him over in bWAR. Then the last one that was right ahead of Randy at a 4.1, Rafael Devers.
Randy.
I'm gonna go with Randy. Raffy, I mean, it's just a weird situation down there in San Francisco, right? I mean, you have Chapman at third, you have Bryce Eldridge coming up at first base, probably this year. Is if Raffy's gonna DH a lot, which I wouldn't be shocked, then that's really gonna hamper. I mean, not that he's good defensively necessarily, but I feel like that'll hamper its opportunity to accrue more bWAR throughout the season. So I'm gonna have to go with Randy in that one.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
nothing
Now,
else to add. Like you nailed it.
and then now we're getting into the guys who are right in line or right below Randy. So we got Randy or Ian Happ.
Ooh,
He's like Ian Happ is like the pillar of consistent 3.5 to 4 wins. I will take the potential for Randy to be a little bit more. Yes, there's more streakiness involved, but like if he doesn't have to get moved into the leadoff spot last year, I think his July maybe carries over a little bit more. If that makes sense, I will take Randy over Ian Happ.
Randy's gonna walk here, so Randy's gonna show up this year. I'm thinking that last year was a really good sign for him. It was arguably the best year of his career, if I remember correctly. And I think that looking at 2026, he's gonna be able to sit pretty firmly in that 5 hole in the lineup with all the guys in front of him. It's just gonna make Randy himself better.
Absolutely. So next, finally, we have somebody that's an outfielder or third baseman, first baseman hybrid. We got William Contreras.
Ooh,
William. Interesting.
I think I'll go with Randy on that one. I mean, hitting in, that Brewers lineup for Contreras, I'm not like he was good, like he's been good throughout the years, but I think that I think it was 24. That might have been more of a flash in the pan necessarily than what he's going to be moving forward. Obviously, he was good last year too, but it's so hard to say with catchers. The catching position is just so rough. And I mean, like we can't expect Cal to hit 60 this year. You know what I mean? So there's always some regression to the mean. So I'm going to go with Randy in that regard.
I'll go Randy as well. 24 is that season where like the top 3 catchers were like him, Will Smith, and Cal. So it's like, what version of Contreras are you going to get? And I'll bet the under essentially on whether or not he's going to reach those heights again.
Randy or Shea Langoliers.
Oh, Bangaliers?
Oh.
No, I like him, even though he's on a bad team for me to like him. I will take Randy. As much as I think the A's offense will continue to kind of grow and become problematic for the team, for the Mariners, I will take Randy again, taking him over another catcher.
Yeah, Joe and I are both pretty high on the Athletics like over the next couple of years, but I think I do have to go with Randy. Again, Langoliers, I would put him behind Soderstrom in terms of potential. Again, is he going to get enough playing time to accrue that much bWAR being a catcher? I don't know. So I'm going to go with Randy.
And then we got two more left. We got Randy Orr, another outfielder, Harrison Bader.
Randy.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fact that Harrison Bader's right on par with him is kind of crazy, though.
I am a Harrison Bader denier, even though he has the chug jug bat. You know what I mean? Like, I've been a Harrison Bader. Maybe I'm just sleeping on Harrison Bader over the past couple of years, but yeah, I got to go with Randy.
He signed with SF, right? The Giants. Sorry,
I don't like you called it that.
Sorry.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna take him over. I'll take Randy over him just because of the offensive profile probably coming down a bit in San Francisco, the city.
Yeah, the town, whatever they want to call it. And then finally, we've got a Mariner to compare Randy to, JP Crawford.
Randy.
Oh, man, both in walk years. Yeah. I mean, I got to go with Randy in that. I just think Randy's ceiling is so much higher than JP's. Now, maybe JP's floor is higher than Randy's, but Randy has the potential to, I think, put up a much more stellar season than JP does. We know what we're going to get out of JP, whereas Randy, there's still, you can kind of dream on a little bit. So I'll go with Randy.
That flash in the pan conversation you had about William Contreras can be said about JP Crawford's 2023. I am very thankful for JP Crawford's 2023, and that was awesome that he got to have a 19 homer season, a 150 WRC plus. Like, awesome. If he reaches that again, I will eat a shoe. There's no shot in my mind. Like,
absolutely. And then it's funny because, so bonus round, the 6th up and the 6th down from Randy on this list were kind of the most interesting.
Okay.
Both played in the World Series, so I'll ask you those two. Ernie Clement first.
Man.
Is he a BAPIP, ball and play merchant?
Yeah.
Ernie's he's an interesting player because he kind of falls in line with a player that legitimately could be never heard of again. Right? Like last year could be like it. And this season, he's just off the face of the cliff. He seems like that kind of player to me. But I will take Randy over Ernie Clement based on that logic.
I'll also take Randy over Ernie Clement. Obviously, Clement had an incredible postseason run. But I agree with Joe. It's the guy who just kind of burst onto the scene like little one-hit wonder. I could definitely see happening with Ernie Clement, even though I kind of do like him as like his overall player profile.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he might have been blessed by the BAPIP gods in 2025.
Absolutely. And then the 6th lower from Randy on this list, played for the Dodgers, Andy Pages.
Oh, pretty big breakout year for Pages last year. I'll take Randy over Pages. I mean, they saw a big year out of James Outman. Why can't this be another James Outman situation for the Dodgers where Pages doesn't really do anything again in 2026? So I will go Randy over Pages.
Personally, I'm just tired of agreeing with Joe, so I'm going to go with Pages because I think that he's, that big breakout season was the first of many for him moving forward. And, he's been a top prospect for the Dodgers for quite some time. And, he finally gets out there into center field. And I think I'll go with Pages just simply because if he can reach the potential that I think a lot of people thought he had, he would be a better player than Randy.
Absolutely. And now, one more question I want to ask you guys before you head off to spring training and get some games, some real innings of baseball to watch on Friday. We hear the chat around Colt Emerson a lot, how mature he is, and the profile being advanced with approach and skill at his age. And I've been thinking, high-end ceiling comp based on like similar scouting reports could be like a Kyle Tucker. A mid-tier comp could be like a Kyle Seager. We've heard that one inside the organization a lot. What might a low-end comp be for Colt Emerson's profile?
Ooh. Why would you put these bad thoughts in my head, Dom? Why would you make us do this? Because we've done this exercise with Laz because it's easy. It's Yordan to Carlos Piguero. Whereas for Colt, I don't know if we've ever thought about the bottom out version of him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could just be like Jared Kelenic, right? Like that's like worst case scenario. You know what I mean? Like super hyped up, like comes onto the scene and isn't good. I'm gonna go with Jared Kelenic. Why not? I think that's fun.
Gosh, I really do think he has a higher floor than that. I'm gonna go like Dustin Ackley. I don't think they're super similar players, but I will run it back with another Mariner. I think he can like his floor to me because like you're talking about like high, mid, low, like. if Kyle Seager's your mid tier, you're a 35, like a 30 career WAR kind of player. That's a very good MLB career. And honestly, Colt probably will play longer than Kyle Seager. So like if we're looking at like per 162 averages, like Colt probably has a longer career than Kyle Seager more than likely. So even if it's like similar production level, I think Kyle is like he's too good. So I will go Dustin Ackley because he kind of had to bounce around.
Absolutely. Don't want to take up too much more of you guys' time. I know you got a lot more videos to make before we got innings to play. So thank you guys for coming on. All right. Thank you guys for watching the episode. Right at the buzzer there, we got our Colt Emerson question in. And right at the buzzer, we're getting this before spring training games start. 36 days till opening day. Spring pitchers and catchers reported a week ago at this point. Anything last that you guys want to mention? Anything you guys have coming up that you want to mention before we get out of here?
No, I mean, we're going down to spring training in about 10 days, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're just going to be doing as much content as we can down there. But yeah, man, I'm just looking forward to having baseball back every single night. It's kind of like, a nightly ritual, something when I like come home from work just to kind of chill and just watch a game. Sometimes the whole chilling part doesn't work because we're Mariners fans, but yeah, just looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, I don't think I have really anything else. I'm just, like everyone else that's a baseball fan, excited for the season to start. Dom, we appreciate you having us on, and thanks for allowing us to take up your time.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. And Colton, why don't you close us out with your signature and go Mariners?
Perfect, I got you. And go Mariners.
See you guys later.
See you later, man.
See ya. Cinema.
Cinema. Absolute cinema.